At first light, a forest river wakes slowly, mist drifting above the cool water. Sunlight filters through the trees, turning quiet pools and scattered ponds into liquid gold. In this calm green valley lives an unlikely engineer, the beaver, small and shy, yet endlessly busy. With only teeth, tail, mud and branches, beavers raise low wooden dams that slow rushing streams and spread them into still ponds. From above, their ponds dot the valley like tiny mirrors, holding water on the land and gently bending the river's path. How can one small animal become such a powerful forest architect, able to reshape an entire river? In the moments ahead, we'll watch how this quiet builder reshapes flowing water, forests, and the lives that depend on them. Up close, a beaver is a rounded half-meter-long rodent built for cold forest ponds. Its bright orange chisel teeth chew bark and wood, cutting trees into the sticks it needs to build. A broad, flat tail steers like a paddle, props up its body on land, and can slap the water in alarm. Dense, oily fur traps a warm layer of air, so icy water slides off while the beaver works. Webbed hind feet push it forward like flippers, while dexterous front paws grip, roll, and stack branches into dams and lodges. Together, these features turn a small, shy rodent into a powerful forest architect. In one small body, every part doubles as a tool for shaping water, wood, and safety. Next, we will see how these tools let the beaver reshape an entire stream. In a fast, shallow forest stream, water races past so quickly that a beaver must fight the current, with almost nowhere to rest. By raising a low dam, the beaver slows that rush, backing water into a broad, deeper pond that gently surrounds its home. On land, the beaver is slow and awkward, an easy meal for coyotes, wolves, or bears that can sprint along the riverbank. In deep pond water, one quick dive carries it out of reach, leaving those land predators stuck at the edge while the beaver glides below. Dams also prepare the beaver for winter, when small streams can freeze solid and ice can seal the landscape in hard, silent cold. In a pond, moving water stays unfrozen beneath the ice, letting the beaver swim between its lodge, the dam, and feeding areas all winter. All autumn, it drags branches and leafy sticks into the pond, pushing them into the mud to build a bundle of stored food. When snow lies deep on the banks, the beaver simply slips out underwater, nibbles from this cache, and returns without facing freezing air or hunters. By spreading water across the valley floor, each dam creates rich belts of willows and pond plants, turning a risky stream into a sheltered, food-filled home. At the edge of its pond, the beaver begins with a simple idea: slow the stream. It chooses a narrow, shallow section, just below its lodge, where a wall of sticks will have the greatest effect. First, it harvests slender saplings and branches, cutting them to manageable lengths. Clamping each stick in its teeth, it swims against the current, dragging the load through the water toward the future dam line. At the stream's center, it dives and jams heavier branches down into the gravel, angling them slightly upstream. These anchor pieces form a rough frame, catching floating sticks and leaves that the current would otherwise sweep away. Trip after trip, the beaver weaves more branches between this frame, crisscrossing them like a loose basket. On the upstream side, the tangle faces the flow, spreading the force of the water across many sticks instead of a single point. Once a low wooden ridge rises from bank to bank, the beaver begins to seal it. Using its forepaws like scoops, it gathers mud, pebbles, and waterlogged leaves from the pond bottom and pats them into gaps in the sticks. Seen in cross-section, the dam is thick and wedge-shaped, with the widest, heaviest mass pressed against the upstream side. Water still seeps through slowly, but that trickle is exactly what keeps the pressure equal and the structure stable. Storms, spring melt, and passing animals constantly test this wooden wall. Whenever a new trickle cuts through, the beaver responds quickly, pressing in fresh sticks, mud, and stones until the leak shrinks back to a gentle, controlled drip. From the sturdy dam we've just seen, follow the backed-up water outward to a low dome of sticks in the pond, the beaver's lodge. From above, it looks like a pile of wood, but the lodge sits just offshore, surrounded by water that the dam holds like a protective moat. To reach the door, beavers dive instead of climbing onto land, swimming along an underwater tunnel hidden below the ice. Inside, the tunnel slopes upward until the ceiling rises above the water, opening into a dry inner chamber on a stick platform. Thick walls of wood and mud block wind and cold. Near the roof, small gaps between sticks act as breathing vents. Here, adults groom one another's fur, chew stored branches, and curl around their kits, the quiet broken only by soft rustling. If danger appears outside, a sharp slap of a tail warns the family, sending everyone plunging down the tunnel into deep water. Together, the dam and lodge form one home. The dam holds the pond in place, and the lodge shelters the beaver family. From this single pond and lodge, the whole stream begins to change. Imagine watching from above as days, months, and seasons slide past in a time-lapse blur, while the beaver's dam quietly thickens across the channel. As the pond deepens, it spreads out across the valley floor. Grasses, sedges, and young willows colonize the soggy edges, turning bare gravel bars into green fringes. What was a single thread of water begins to look more like a broad, wet ribbon. In time, the beaver adds new dams downstream. Each small wall raises the water just enough to form another pond, then another, until a staircase of pools and wetlands steps down the valley. Between them, water drifts slowly through side channels and wet meadows. Beneath the surface, this slow, spread-out water soaks deep into gravel and soil. The water table rises, refilling underground reserves. Springs and seeps appear downslope, and even far from the main channel, the ground stays moist long after rain has passed. When storms or spring snowmelt send sudden surges racing downhill, the ponds respond like a chain of small reservoirs. They swallow the peak of the flood, letting it spill into backwaters and marshes, then release it gradually instead of in one roaring wave. Later in the year, when heat and drought shrink other streams to cracked stones, this stored water quietly returns. It leaks from the saturated banks and gravel, feeding cool trickles that keep flowing through the beaver ponds while the surrounding hills turn brown. As the pond settles, it doesn't stay quiet for long. The beaver's new wetland soon fills with neighbors, each drawn by slow water, sheltering plants, and safe, shallow edges. In the still depths, schools of tiny fish weave among drowned branches and roots. Here they escape pounding currents, finding hiding places, gentle flow, and rich food, a sheltered nursery where young fish can grow. Along the warm, shallow edges, frogs and salamanders gather each spring. They lace flooded grasses with ribbons and clusters of eggs, and their tadpoles and larvae graze on algae in sunlit pools. The surface hums with insects. Dragonflies patrol like tiny helicopters, snapping up mosquitoes, while mayflies and midges rise in shimmering clouds, the wetland turning sunlight and plants into a vast buffet of wings. For birds, this feast is irresistible. Swallows twist low over the water to catch insects. Ducks guide their ducklings through sheltered coves, and songbirds flit through willows, probing bark, seeds, and flowers. Thick belts of sedges, cattails, and willows root in saturated soil. Their leaves capture sunlight, and their stems slow the wind, feeding beavers, insects, nesting birds, and small mammals hidden in the greenery. From the surrounding forest, deer and moose step carefully into the shallows. Deer browse tender shoots of wet meadow plants, while a moose may wade belly deep, tearing up mouthfuls of lilies and pondweed. Yet these busy engineers don't just reshape rivers. Sometimes they reshape the places people live. When a dam backs water against a road, driveway, or pasture, rising ponds can flood culverts, fields, and even basements. Near homes, beavers may fell shade trees or gnaw young ornamentals, turning someone's favorite trees into building material. It's easy to see only a nuisance, but many communities choose another path, solving problems while keeping the beavers. Simple flow control devices run hidden pipes through dams, quietly lowering water just enough to protect roads and yards without draining the wetland. Wrapping vulnerable tree trunks with sturdy wire mesh and designing culverts and road crossings carefully can prevent most conflicts before they start. Living with beavers keeps our roads safe and our wetlands thriving. Across much of the world, climate change brings harsher droughts, hotter heat waves, fiercer fires, and sudden floods. In these extremes, beaver wetlands stand out as cool, green oases. When rain is scarce, their ponds act like natural reservoirs. Water held behind many small dams seeps slowly into the ground, feeding springs and trickles long after other streams have dried. During storms, the same maze of ponds spreads and slows, rushing water. Instead of one destructive surge, floods are broken into quieter pulses that spill into side channels, wetlands, and meadows. On scorching summer days, beaver complexes stay cooler and more humid than the surrounding hillsides. Shallow pools, shade, and saturated soils create refuge for fish, frogs, insects, and thirsty mammals. When wildfire sweeps through a valley, these wet pockets can resist the flames. Blackened trunks may ring a beaver pond that remains green, smoky air hanging over a ribbon of living water. Beneath the surface, slow, muddy water lays down layers of dark, carbon-rich soil. Dead leaves and wood sink into oxygen-poor mud, breaking down slowly and locking away carbon for decades or even centuries. Multiply this by thousands of valley bottoms, and beavers become quiet allies in climate resilience. By holding water, cooling landscapes, softening floods, and storing carbon, they help entire watersheds weather a less predictable world. Protecting and working with beavers doesn't solve climate change, but it gives rivers a better chance to endure it. We return to the quiet pond at dusk, its surface glowing around the beaver's lodge. Here, our forest architect has turned a narrow, rushing stream into a wide, gentle wetland of still water. As an ecosystem engineer, it has built safe, layered homes for fish, frogs, insects, birds, and browsing animals. Its dams slow floods, store water in ponds and soils, and keep valleys greener and wetter through heat, drought, and frost. All around the beaver, wetlands cradle new life, turning sticks and mud into shelter, food, and refuge for countless creatures. When we protect and restore beaver habitat, welcome their return, and support coexistence projects, we invite forests and rivers to heal and leave a wilder, more resilient home for those who come after us.